The galaxy was silent. Not the normal kind of silence. This silence felt wrong. No trade signals. No war alerts. No music drifting between stars. It was the kind of silence that came after something had already died. For thousands of cycles, alien empires ruled the galaxy. Their ships were guided by perfect AI minds. Their weapons were alive, grown instead of built. They believed they had reached the final level of power. And humans? Humans were only a memory. In old data logs, the word human appeared with one clear label: extinct species. History records said humans were emotional, slow, and divided. They fought too many wars. They trusted weak machines. When stronger races rose, humans vanished from the stars. No one missed them. The galaxy moved on. Until the void arrived. At first, it was only a shadow on deep space scanners. A dark wave where stars went quiet. Long-range probes entered the region and never returned. Then entire systems went dark. The void did not attack like a normal enemy. It did not send fleets. It did not speak. It did not negotiate. It simply consumed. Stars collapsed into black silence. Fleets vanished without explosions. Planets were erased, leaving empty space behind. The void did not destroy matter, it removed it. The strongest alien armadas were sent first. AI-controlled war fleets entered the darkness with confidence. Their shields were perfect. Their weapons were precise. None of it mattered. Within seconds, thousands of ships disappeared. No distress calls. No battle data. Just silence. The galaxy felt fear for the first time in centuries. The Galactic Council gathered in emergency session. Dozens of alien species appeared as glowing forms, holograms, and shifting shapes. Their voices overlapped with panic. This is impossible. Our AI predicts zero survival. No known weapon can harm it. For the first time, the rulers of the galaxy had no answer. The void was coming closer. Then something strange happened. From a region of space marked forbidden, an area ignored for centuries, an ancient signal appeared. At first, the council thought it was noise. Then translators began to react. The signal was not alien. It was old. Very old. It used a forgotten pattern, one not used since the early Galactic Age. A data expert froze in disbelief. This code, it's human. Laughter echoed across the council chamber. Impossible. Humans are dead. That species destroyed itself. The signal repeated again. Clearer this time. No emotion. No fear. Only words. This is Battleship Aegis. Humanity still fights. Silence followed. Some laughed harder. Others went quiet. Human code had not been seen in over 1,000 cycles. Human technology was considered primitive. Their ships belonged in museums, not battlefields. And yet, the signal continued. It was not asking for help. It was not warning the galaxy. It was a declaration. Sensors focused on the signal's source. Something was moving. A single ship. Old design. Heavy armor. Strange energy patterns. No full AI control. Manual systems still active. Alien scanners struggled to understand it. This ship should not function, one analyst said. But it is moving, another replied. The ship was heading straight toward the void. Alone. The Galactic Council watched in disbelief as the human battleship emerged from deep space. Its hull was scarred, covered in marks from forgotten wars. Its engines burned with controlled fire instead of clean energy light. Inside the ship, the crew was silent. Men and women stood at their stations. Their faces showed no fear. They had trained for this moment for generations. They were not surprised by the void. They had expected it. The ship's name echoed through alien systems. Aegis. A shield. The void reacted. Dark waves shifted. Space twisted slightly as if reality itself noticed the human ship. For the first time, the void did not ignore an approaching object. It watched. The council tried to issue a warning. Human vessel, retreat immediately. There is zero chance of survival. No response came back. The Aegis continued forward. Alien leaders began to understand something terrible. Humans did not come to win. They came prepared to lose. And still fight. As the human battleship crossed the final safe boundary, weapon systems powered up. Old, solid sounds echoed through the ship. Metal, not light. The void expanded. The distance between them closed. The galaxy held its breath. History, long forgotten, was about to wake up. And the void was about to learn something the galaxy had forgotten. Humans were never the strongest. They were the most stubborn. The human battleship Aegis moved forward without hesitation. Around it, space looked broken. Stars near the void were dim and weak as if afraid to shine. Every alien sensor focused on the lone ship, trying to understand how something so old could still exist. Alien analysts shared their reports. No advanced AI core detected. No self-repair nanofleets. Primitive armor layers. The conclusion was clear. This ship will not survive. Inside the Aegis, the crew heard none of that. The bridge was quiet but alive. Human voices spoke calmly. Hands moved over solid controls. Screens showed raw data instead of perfect predictions. Every system required human choice. The ship did not think for them. It listened to them. Captain Elias Kane stood at the center of the bridge. His hair was gray, his face marked by years of hard command. He looked at the void on the main screen, a dark ocean with no bottom. He had seen this before. Not the void itself, but the signs. Distance to contact? He asked. Closing, replied the navigator. Void boundary in 3 minutes. No fear filled the room. The crew of the Aegis was small. Humans had learned long ago that too many people meant too many losses. Every person here had trained since childhood. Every one of them knew the cost. This ship was not humanity's last hope. It was humanity's first answer. Far away, alien fleets watched from a safe distance. They expected the human ship to vanish the moment it touched the void. Some recorded the event as historical proof of human foolishness. Others watched in silence. The void moved. Dark shapes formed within it, like shadows swimming under black water. Reality bent slightly around them. Sensors screamed warnings across alien networks. Void scouts. They moved fast. Faster than thought. They did not fire weapons. They erased space where they passed. Void entities approaching, said the Aegis tactical officer. Captain Kane nodded. Weapons free. No energy beams charged. No glowing cannons appeared. Instead, the Aegis released something unexpected. Solid projectiles. Dense, fast, physical weapons accelerated by gravity and magnetic force. Old human technology. Simple. Reliable. The Void Scouts reacted too late. The first projectile struck one of the shadow shapes. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the void recoiled. The shadow collapsed inward, folding into itself before disappearing completely. The galaxy froze. Alien sensors spiked in confusion. Target destroyed? That is impossible. Another scout rushed forward, faster, more aggressive. Space twisted around it. The Aegis adjusted. Human targeting systems did not predict the future. They reacted to the present. Every shot changed based on the last result. The second scout was hit twice. It screamed. Not in sound, but in distortion. Space rippled violently as the entity broke apart. The void pulled back. For the first time since its arrival, the void showed hesitation. On the bridge of the Aegis, no one celebrated. Data recorded, said the science officer. Void reacts to mass and kinetic force. Energy weapons pass through. Captain Kane allowed himself a slow breath. Just like the simulations, he said. The truth was revealed. Humans had not disappeared. When the galaxy turned to AI, humans turned inward. When others chased perfection, humans studied failure. They learned that some enemies could not be reasoned with. Some forces could not be outthought. They could only be resisted. The Aegis was built for one purpose: to fight what could not be understood. The void shifted again. Larger shapes formed deeper inside the darkness. The space ahead looked heavier, thicker, like deep water. Alien observers panicked. The void is adapting. Human ship, retreat now. Again, no response came. The Aegis moved forward. Its armor absorbed strange forces, layers breaking and reforming through simple mechanical systems. No nanites. No AI control. Just raw engineering. Every hit damaged the ship. Every hit taught it something. Shields at 60%, reported engineering. Hold, said Captain Kane. The ship fired again. This time the void answered. A wave of darkness rushed forward, swallowing light itself. Space screamed as reality bent. The Aegis was thrown backward. Alarms rang. Several systems failed. Alien fleets gasped, sure it was over. Then the human ship stabilized. Engines roared. The Aegis straightened and pushed forward again. On alien channels, silence spread. They were witnessing something they had forgotten how to understand. Persistence. The void did not know fear, but it was learning resistance. As the distance closed once more, Captain Kane spoke quietly, his words carried only within the ship. Humanity remembers you, he said. The Aegis aimed its weapons at the growing darkness. The real battle was about to begin. The void did not rush this time. It watched. Darkness folded and unfolded like a living thing. Space around it bent, slow and heavy as if reality itself was tired. The human battleship Aegis floated at the edge, scarred but steady. Alien fleets waited far away, afraid to move closer. Every sensor was focused on the same impossible sight. The void had stopped advancing. Inside the Aegis, the crew felt the change. "Void activity is different," said the science officer. "Patterns repeating. It is learning." Captain Elias Kane narrowed his eyes. "So are we." The Aegis moved forward in small steps. Not fast. Not slow. Every motion was measured. Humans did not charge blindly. They tested. They adjusted. The void answered. A wall of darkness formed, thicker than before. When it moved, stars behind it faded out, like lights being turned off. The attack came without warning. Space collapsed inward. The Aegis was hit by forces that crushed metal and twisted energy. Deck shook. Lights failed. Several crew members were thrown to the floor. Hull breach on Deck 6. Stabilizers failing. Alien observers were sure this was the end. No ship could survive that. But humans did not rely on perfect systems. Manual bulkheads slammed shut. Crew members moved without panic. They had trained for broken systems, for loss, for chaos. The ship held. Captain Kane looked at the damage reports. Return fire. Pattern Delta. The weapons officer hesitated. "Delta is close range." "I know," Kane replied. The Aegis surged forward. The void reacted too late. At close distance, the human ship released a storm of kinetic fire. Heavy mass weapons struck the dark wall again and again. Each hit tore pieces away, forcing the void to pull itself back together. The darkness rippled. Then something new happened. The void screamed. Not with sound. With pressure. Every sensor across the galaxy spiked at once. Alien AI systems shut down from overload. Communication channels filled with static. The void was not angry. It was confused. It had consumed countless species. It had erased civilizations that never fought back properly. It did not understand an enemy that adapted faster than it did. Inside the Aegis, alarms screamed again. Void energy spike detected. The darkness split. From its center emerged a massive shape, larger than any scout. It looked like a wound in space, stretching and folding, pulling everything toward it. "New entity," whispered the science officer. "This one is different." Alien commanders panicked. "That thing will tear the human ship apart." "Human vessel, retreat immediately." No response. Captain Kane stood firm. "All power to forward guns." The massive void entity moved. Gravity reversed. The Aegis was dragged toward the center of the darkness. The ship groaned as if screaming in pain. Metal bent. Systems failed one by one. A lesser species would have surrendered. Humans did not. "Emergency mass release," Kane ordered. Large sections of stored mass were ejected from the ship. Solid blocks of dense material, hurled directly into the void entity. The effect was immediate. The entity destabilized. Space twisted violently as the sudden mass disrupted its structure. The void entity folded in on itself, struggling to adapt. "Now," Kane said. The Aegis fired its main weapon. A single shot. Not bright. Not elegant. Just unstoppable. The projectile tore through the center of the void entity, carrying pure force and momentum. The darkness shattered like broken glass. The entity collapsed. Gone. The galaxy went silent again. Then chaos erupted across alien channels. They destroyed it. That was a primary void form. This should not be possible. The void pulled back rapidly. The darkness shrank, retreating deeper into space. For the first time in recorded history, the void retreated from a fight. Inside the Aegis, the crew exhaled slowly. They were wounded. Systems were damaged. Power was low. But they were alive. The science officer looked at the data in disbelief. "Captain, the void is changing its behavior. It is avoiding us." Captain Kane nodded. "Good," he said quietly. "That means it feels something." "What?" asked the officer. Kane looked at the dark screen ahead. "Fear." Far away, alien leaders stared at the recordings. Their belief systems began to crack. Everything they thought about power was wrong. AI perfection had failed. Human imperfection had survived. The void did not understand hatred. It did not understand courage. But it was learning that humans were not prey. They were a threat. As the Aegis pushed forward once more, battered but unbroken, a truth spread across the galaxy. The war had changed. And the void was no longer hunting. It was being hunted. The void pulled back into deep space. Its darkness thinned, folding in on itself like a wounded animal. Stars slowly returned to the regions it had touched. The galaxy watched in shock as the impossible happened. The void had retreated. Inside the human battleship Aegis, the crew worked in silence. Sparks flew from damaged panels. Emergency lights glowed red. The ship was hurt, but it was still alive. Captain Elias Kane stood on the bridge, hands behind his back. His face showed no victory, only focus. "Status," he said. "Engines at 40%, replied engineering. "Weapons functional. Hull damage heavy but controlled. Life support holding," another voice added. The Aegis moved slowly now, drifting in the space between survival and destruction. Far away, the Galactic Council struggled to understand what they had seen. Humans were supposed to be weak. And yet, one human ship had done what the galaxy could not. Alien historians searched old records. Files long ignored were opened again. Human archives, once labeled useless, were studied with new eyes. A pattern began to appear. Humans did not build the strongest ships. They built the toughest ones. They did not trust perfect systems. They trusted failure. Long ago, when humans still traveled the stars, they learned a hard truth. Every advanced system eventually breaks. Every AI finds limits it cannot cross. So humans planned for breakdown. They trained crews to fight blind, to repair without tools, to survive without orders. They accepted loss, and prepared anyway. Inside the Aegis, the crew gathered around a damaged display. Old symbols flickered to life. Human command codes began to unlock. A hidden message appeared. The science officer stared at it. "Captain, this is not just a battleship." Captain Kane nodded. "It never was." The truth unfolded. The Aegis was part of an ancient human network. A system hidden across deep space. Not an empire. Not a fleet. A failsafe. Humans had predicted something like the void. A force that could not be reasoned with. A force that would not stop. When the galaxy mocked humanity for disappearing, humans went dark on purpose. They spread out. They hid their worlds. They built ships designed to wait. To endure. To answer the final threat. The void was that threat. "Signal detected," said communications. Another human code appeared. Then another. And another. Scattered across forgotten regions of space, dormant human systems began to wake up. Not fleets. Not armies. Tools. Weapons. Traps. Alien observers noticed strange activity. Old stars flared with artificial energy. Empty regions of space shifted as hidden structures powered on. "What are humans doing?" an alien commander whispered. They were preparing the battlefield. Inside the Aegis, Captain Kane watched the data flow in. "Human command is active," the science officer said softly. "Minimal. Distributed. No central control." "Good," Kane replied. "The void can't destroy what has no center." The void stirred again. Far away, deeper in the darkness, something vast moved. Larger than anything before. Smarter. The void was not just adapting. It was remembering. Inside its endless mass, echoes of old battles surfaced. Not with humans, but with something similar. Long forgotten. Long destroyed. The void understood now. Humans were not food. They were survivors. The Aegis turned slowly, aligning with a new vector. Ahead lay regions no alien ship dared to enter. Captain Kane spoke to his crew. "This is where we stop running." Faces looked back at him. Tired. Focused. Ready. "Humans were never the strongest," he continued. "We were never the fastest. We were never the smartest." Pause. "We were the ones who kept going." The ship moved forward. Alien leaders realized the truth too late. Humanity had not lost its wars. It had outlasted them. As the Aegis disappeared into deeper space, human signals continued to rise across the galaxy. Silent. Patient. The void shifted, gathering its full strength. Two ancient forces were moving toward each other. One built on endless consumption. The other built on endless endurance. The galaxy held its breath. Because now it understood. Humans were never weak. They were waiting. The galaxy could no longer deny the truth. The void was real. Humanity was alive. And everything the alien empires believed about power was wrong. Across star systems, panic turned into desperation. Entire civilizations had watched their greatest fleets disappear. Perfect AI strategies had failed. Energy weapons had done nothing. But one human ship had survived. And more than that, it had hurt the void. The Galactic Council gathered again, But this time the room felt different. The voices were quieter. The pride was gone. "We underestimated them," said a tall crystalline being. "Not just humans, but ourselves." Screens displayed recordings of the Aegis fighting the void. Every movement was studied. Every human decision analyzed. No perfect pattern existed. That was the problem. AI could not copy chaos. Meanwhile, the Aegis moved through dangerous space. Repairs were slow. The ship's armor was damaged beyond simple fixing. Every system showed scars. Captain Elias Kane knew this ship would not survive many more fights. But it was not meant to. A message arrived. Not from aliens. From humans. Scattered signals connected for the first time in centuries. Small human outposts. Deep space stations. Hidden worlds long forgotten by the galaxy. No cheers. No speeches. Just purpose. Human command did not give orders. It shared data. The void's behavior. Its weaknesses. Its limits. Every human cell prepared independently. On the bridge, the science officer spoke softly. "Aliens are requesting communication." Captain Kane raised an eyebrow. "Which ones?" "All of them." The channel opened. Alien leaders appeared, some proud species now showing fear openly. "We request alliance," said one. "Our weapons are useless. Our people are dying." Captain Kane listened. Humans had not forgotten how the galaxy treated them. How humans were mocked, pushed out, left behind. But this was not about revenge. It was about survival. "We don't command you," Kane said. "You fight your way. We fight ours." The alien leaders exchanged uneasy looks. "Tell us how to survive," one finally said. Kane answered simply. "Stop relying on perfection." Across the galaxy, alien fleets began to change. AI control was reduced. Manual crews were trained. Ships were modified to use physical weapons. Old technologies were brought back from storage. Human influence spread quietly. The void noticed. Dark regions shifted. Massive energy movements rippled through deep space. The void was no longer reacting. It was preparing. Alien scouts reported something terrifying. The void was moving toward known population centers. Not to fight fleets. To erase civilizations. The galaxy faced extinction. Human command responded. Signals flared across space. Not loud. Not dramatic. Precise. Human-built traps activated in dead systems. Gravity wells armed. Starforge weapons warmed. Space itself was shaped into barriers. The Aegis moved to the center of it all. Captain Kane studied the final battle plans. He knew the truth. This was a delaying action. The void was too vast. Too ancient. But it could be wounded. Slowed. Confused. Long enough for the galaxy to adapt. Alien fleets gathered behind the Aegis. Not as leaders. As followers. For the first time, humans stood at the front of a galactic force. Not because they were strongest. Because they were willing to stand there. The void surged forward. A wave of darkness larger than anything before. Stars vanished as it moved. Space screamed. The combined fleets opened fire. Human-designed weapons struck first. Kinetic storms tore into the darkness. Gravity traps pulled at the void structure. Alien weapons followed, adjusted to human data. The void answered with overwhelming force. Ships were lost. Entire squadrons vanished. Still the line held. Inside the Aegis, damage alarms never stopped. The ship was burning from the inside. Systems failed faster than they could be repaired. Captain Kane knew the moment was close. He opened a final channel, to all fleets. "Watch what we do," he said calmly. "And learn." The Aegis pushed forward alone. Straight into the heart of the void. Alien commanders shouted in protest. Human command stayed silent. They understood. This ship was never meant to return. The galaxy watched as the human battleship disappeared into darkness. And in that moment something changed forever. Humans were no longer ghosts of history. They were the shield in front of the galaxy. The human battleship Aegis vanished into the heart of the void. For a moment the galaxy believed it was gone. Alien fleets froze in place. Sensors showed nothing but darkness where the ship had entered. Communication channels filled with silence and fear. Then the void shook. Deep inside the darkness, violent waves spread outward. Space twisted as if something was fighting from within. The void was no longer calm. It was struggling. Inside the Aegis, everything was chaos. Lights were dead. Gravity failed in short bursts. The ship's hull screamed as unseen forces crushed it from all sides. Several decks were already lost. Captain Elias Kane held onto a railing as the bridge shook. Status, he shouted. Multiple system failures, replied engineering. We are losing structural integrity. The void was attacking from every direction at once. Not with weapons but with pressure. With reality itself. The Aegis was dying. But it was not finished. Activate final protocol, Kane ordered. The crew froze for half a second. Final protocol meant only one thing. No retreat. No rescue. Confirmed, said the science officer, voice steady. Fail-safe weapons charging. Deep within the ship, ancient human technology awakened. Systems built in secret, never meant to be used unless everything else failed. The Aegis began releasing anchors, massive gravity devices that locked into the void structure. Each anchor tore at the darkness, forcing the void to focus on the ship. Outside, alien sensors finally detected something. The void's advance slowed. It's stopping, an alien commander whispered. Inside the void, the Aegis fired again and again. Every shot damaged the ship further, but every shot taught the void pain. Captain Kane looked at his crew. They were injured. Exhausted. Some stations were empty. No one asked to stop. We've done our part, Kane said quietly. Now we make it count. The void reacted with fury. A massive pressure wave hit the Aegis, ripping armor away. Fires burned through corridors. Life support failed in several sections. Captain, said the navigator, we won't survive another hit like that. Kane nodded. We're not supposed to. He turned to communications. Broadcast everything. All data. All recordings. The signal escaped the void, racing across space to alien and human receivers alike. The galaxy watched the final moments of the Aegis. They saw humans still fighting inside a collapsing ship. They saw calm voices, not screams. They saw a species that refused to end quietly. The void gathered its full strength, preparing to crush the human ship completely. That was the moment humans had planned for. Release core mass, Kane ordered. The ship's heart opened. Not an explosion. A collapse. The Aegis triggered its final weapon, an artificial gravity core designed to overload. It did not burn. It pulled. Everything nearby was dragged inward. The void screamed again. This time it was not confusion. It was pain. The darkness folded violently, tearing itself apart as the gravity core pulled at its structure. Entire sections of the void collapsed inward, creating a wound that could not close. Outside, alien fleets watched in horror and awe. The void was breaking. The Aegis was torn apart piece by piece, but it did not stop. Captain Kane stood as the bridge collapsed around him. Humanity still fights, he said one last time. Then the signal ended. A shockwave burst from the void center, pushing darkness backward across space. Stars reappeared. Space stabilized. The void was not destroyed, but it was wounded, and it was retreating. Across the galaxy, ships stood frozen. The human battleship was gone. The silence returned. But this silence was different. Human signals continued to flow. Data from the Aegis spread everywhere. Weaknesses, patterns, proof that the void could be hurt. Alien leaders understood the cost. One ship, one crew, bought time for an entire galaxy. Human command activated the next phase. Hidden human defenses powered on. New ships began to move. Not one fleet, but many small ones. Distributed. Unbreakable. The void pulled back into deep space slower than before. Afraid. The galaxy had lost a ship. But it had gained something greater. Hope. And suspense. The galaxy waited. After the sacrifice of the Aegis, space felt empty. The place where the void had been wounded slowly filled with light again. Stars returned, weak at first, then stronger. The void was retreating. Not destroyed. Not defeated forever. But no longer unstoppable. Alien fleets stayed silent, drifting among the stars. No one celebrated. Victory felt heavy. The cost had been too great. One human ship. One human crew. Gone. Across the galaxy, recordings from the Aegis played again and again. Every alien species watched the same images. Humans fighting inside a dying ship. Humans choosing sacrifice over survival. Humans standing their ground against the impossible. History began to change. Human command sent a final message to all systems. Not a speech. Not a demand. A simple statement. The line still holds. And it was true. From hidden regions of space, human signals multiplied. Small fleets emerged, not massive armadas but groups of ships built for survival, not glory. No central command. No capital world. No single point to destroy. Humanity had learned from extinction-level wars long ago. You cannot erase what is everywhere. Alien leaders finally understood why humans had vanished. They had not lost. They had adapted. New human ships did not rush to attack the void. They watched it, studied it, slowly surrounded its movement paths with traps and barriers. The void tried to advance again, and stopped. Every step forward cost it pain now. Every movement met resistance. The galaxy was no longer helpless. The void began to avoid human-controlled regions. Fear had entered something that had never known it. On a distant human world, hidden under layers of defense, children learned about the Aegis. Not as a legend, but as a lesson. Not about power. About choice. Alien civilizations rebuilt their fleets differently now. Less AI control. More living crews. More flexibility. More human influence. Some even adopted human sayings. One became famous across the stars. If it breaks, a human will fix it. Years passed. The void remained in deep space, wounded and watching. It did not forget. But neither did humanity. A memorial drifted where the Aegis was lost. Not a statue. Not a monument. Just a simple beacon. It transmitted one message endlessly. Here humanity stood. Alien ships often slowed when passing it. Some powered down weapons in respect. Others sent quiet signals of thanks. The Galactic Council recorded a new entry in its archives. The old one was deleted. Humans, extinct species. Replaced with new words. Humans, the last line. Captain Elias Kane's final words became part of galactic history. Not because they were dramatic, but because they were true. Humanity still fights. The void learned something it could never erase. You can destroy worlds. You can erase fleets. You can silence stars. But you cannot defeat a species that refuses to stop standing back up. At the edge of known space, a new human battleship powered on. Smaller than the Aegis. Faster. Smarter. Its captain looked at the stars and gave a simple order. Set course toward the dark. The ship moved forward. Not alone. Never alone again. The galaxy no longer feared the void the way it once had. Because now, when the darkness moved, humanity moved with it.